Yo, what's up YouTube? It's your boy Thrifty back with another banger video for y'all boys. And look, in this video, I'll be reacting to 2 videos by Chillin' Scared since I was not caught up, man. I'm gonna show y'all the first 2 I'm gonna be reacting to. Now, I definitely made this at the end of the reaction, you know what I'm saying? I made the intro at the end because I just wanted to get straight into it, you know what I'm saying? Because I got a lot that I need to do. So, let me peek down here right quick, because, you know, the camera's in front of me. We got 5 most disturbing cases of real found footage. So we got that one. That's the first one I reacted to since it was the most recent one, right? Then we got 5 disturbing internet mysteries solved by Reddit. That's crazy. Now, bro, both of these videos were some good videos. So if y'all like these videos, man, make sure y'all tell me, you know what I'm saying? Give me some ideas, you know, some video ideas and shit in the comments, you know what I'm saying? If y'all want me to do them out. And hey, shout out to you, my boy. All right, man, let's do it, man. As y'all can clearly see, oh my, that art, bro. It already look goofy. So as y'all can clearly see, I have 2 videos that I need to catch up on, man. I know, bro. But I'm gonna just go ahead and catch up and react to the most, you know what I'm saying? The most recent one, of course, you know what I'm saying? This one, 4 days, 2 million viewers, dude. Know what time it is, buddy. So I'm finna just stop talking. Hit me with an ad.
January 8th, 2000.
That's what I love about this, man. I don't even get hit with an ad when I get on this video. Just get to simply enjoy it. Let's go.
2005, a man named Martin discovered a mysterious package in his mailbox. Confused, he brought it inside and opened it up. Inside the package was a single item, a videotape with no label or note to explain its contents. Curious to see what was on it, he put it in his camcorder and pressed play. And
well, let me get this happened in like 2005, bro.
The footage he found on it was shocking to say the least. It contained a nearly hour-long video of a man describing the violent things he was about to do, how he was going to lure his victims, and the makeshift devices he was going to use.
I'm not trained in torture methods, which is what I'm gonna have to make do. I got my drill here. The reason why it's got this padding on it is just to try to silence it a bit, because I'm in an apartment. I got gags, socks, I got lots of duct tape. I got a soldering iron, sheets. It's rather crude implements. I think can work wonders, especially if it's used in the right way.
However, while the content itself was extremely grim, what disturbed Martin more was the fact that he personally knew the person on screen. This wasn't the manifesto of a serial killer planning to take innocent lives. Instead, it was the final message of Martin's close friend, Ricky Rodriguez, a man who was tormented by a cult from the moment he was born.
Oh my
He eventually
gosh.
managed to escape the cult and was now planning to take revenge on the people who did unspeakable things to him for all those years.
Right.
He recorded this hour-long video and mailed it to his few friends and family so they would find it and have all the answers about what he was about to do and why.
I'm making this video, well, for many reasons, I guess. I suppose the main reason is that I want there to be some record of the way I feel,
Right.
my ideas, just who I was, really.
So I'm already guessing this man, no, nah, he couldn't have had nobody that close. Because if he had somebody that close, like, they would have been right there talking to him right now. So, kind of feel bad for this dude. He trying to seek revenge, bro. It never end well, neither, bro. It never end well, bro.
Ricky's story began 30 years earlier on January 25, 1975, when he was born as the first child of Karen Alva Zerby. Karen was a member of a cult called the Children of God, which used Christian language to lure in young, impressionable minds, often teenagers, and molded them to its sick and perverse ideals.
What?
2 years after Ricky's birth, he was adopted by the cult's leader, David Burke, who presented himself as the Chosen One. David changed the cult's name to The Family and declared Ricky to be a religious herald, granting him a special position in the organization.
Wow.
However,
Hold on. Organization? Bro, is this a church or not? What is this? Organization?
Treated like royalty by the other members on the surface.
Oh,
Behind
yeah,
closed
buddy.
doors, Ricky was the victim of vile acts no child should ever have to endure. David not
buddy.
only encouraged these acts, but went as far as to write a whole book about everything he and his followers did to Ricky called The Story of DeVito.
Right.
This abuse continued for many years.
Look at this nigga, man. Just look at him.
But as
What made you do this? I just be wanting to act like, what made you do this, bro?
Ricky got older, he became aware of David's lies and manipulation. Then, in 1999, he finally managed to escape the cult with his girlfriend.
Okay then, my guy got the bed in the back. Man,
Alexia
hey,
Manuel
furniture.
by faking a visit to the cult's compound in Mexico and fleeing to
My
the
nigga, hey,
US.
look, my nigga look happy, bro. My nigga look happy. His girl should have been there telling him, no, babe, don't do this. Cause he ain't never go see no light of day. He go kill somebody.
Dad, reintegrate.
Well, nah, hold on. Nigga, this back in the day. All he gotta do is burn the body or feed it to the pigs and it's over. So, never mind.
Into society after
I knew
24
it might
years in an
work.
isolated cult was anything but.
Oh my, look how
But
old this
Ricky
look.
somehow managed to pull through and secure
Look at this guy. You know what yeah.
a job
Look
as
at
an
him.
electrician. He also
Oh, yeah.
married Alexia and
I don't know if he
moved to
eating or is he
Arizona due to his
off the
work.
drug. You know?
Unfortunately, no matter how hard he tried to move
2000s,
forward, the
I
nightmare
told
he
you.
escaped continued to haunt him. David had passed away in 1994, and the cult was now under the supervision of Karen Zerby, Ricky's mother. And while the cult had managed to escape legal repercussions by
Karen.
mainly operating overseas, Ricky knew that there were still countless children suffering the same fate as him.
Yeah.
So, in January of 2005, he decided enough was enough and took matters into his own hands.
Right.
Which brings us back to the video he recorded and then mailed to a handful of close friends and his wife. In it, Ricky mentioned his ultimate goal, which was to bring down the cult all on his own.
Why?
Beyond that, a part of this was also about getting revenge for everything that was done to him.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. Why you couldn't just do it the right way? You gotta sit here and do all this. You gonna kill them, it's over when you kill them. But see, if they go to jail, they gotta think about their action. They stay in that motherfucker forever. So you might as well just go and do the right little thing, bro. Take their ass down the right way instead of going your ass to jail, dude. Yeah, you just gotta think about it from a mature state. Nigga, you go to jail for killing one person, bro. That's what he gonna do, cause all them people in there, they ain't coach. They not finna just let you kill them, my guy. So he probably gonna kill like 2 or 1 person. Then it's gonna catch up to him eventually. He gonna go to jail once he figure out, damn, I was wrong. Gonna be too late, little bro. So you might as well just go ahead, get some little sneak up, be a little spy, get some, you know, might as well just get some, get some evidence, and then get him out of here. Simple as that. If they torturing these kids, and you already know this shit, bro, you know what their next move is already, because you was the first, you know what I'm saying, nigga getting tortured type shit.
There's this need that I have. This need, it's not a want, it's a need. And I
Right.
wish it wasn't, but it is.
Right.
It's a need for revenge. It's a need
I thought he said lead. Yeah.
for justice.
It's not saving them.
Because I can't
Justice?
go on like this.
You're cooked.
In this video, he also laid out his
Yeah.
plan for accomplishing this goal. He'd apparently gotten in contact with his previous nanny, Angela Smith, who was among the group that tormented him during
They
his time
all
in
look the
cult.
same,
He
bro.
was going to invite her over for dinner at his apartment in Tucson and make her tell everything she knew about the other members' whereabouts by any means necessary. And that's exactly what he did. On January 8th, after mailing copies of his recording, he invited Angela into his home and
Oh,
proceeded with the
nah,
plan.
bro.
It's unclear what information he managed to extract from her before
Right.
taking her life. He then got
Why would you take her life? Bro, you could have did this the right. We could have avoided all this bullshit. You just took somebody, we know where he at now. And then the fact that we even know about this, his ass either dead or he in jail right now.
into his car and drove to Blythe,
Oh,
California.
nah, bro.
There, he rented a motel and called his wife to tell her about what he had done and what he was going to do next. However, despite the meticulous planning, Ricky ultimately couldn't follow through with the rest of his plan.
Right.
On the morning of January 9th, authorities found his car in a parking lot just a few miles from the hotel he was staying at. Ricky was found inside the car as well, where he had taken his own life. And
What I just say? I knew it.
while this was tragic news for his loved ones, it was hardly surprising for his wife. You see, Ricky believed that killing the cultists would bring him peace, something
No.
he reiterated in his last video.
I can imagine how I would feel. How liberating it would be.
But
At the
that's
end
not-
of the day, bro, it still happened to you. You can't just take that back. That's why I say, you know what I'm saying, emotional damage can mostly be, it sometimes be worse than fucking physical damage, for real, bro. Like, this nigga right here, it wasn't no saving him. He was just...
what happened. During his call with his wife, he confessed that despite his anger and resentment, killing Angela was the hardest thing he had ever done. Taking revenge didn't bring the comfort he was looking for. He couldn't bring
I told y'all, one person, didn't I?
himself to take any more lives and decided to end it all that night, leaving his friends and family with this hour-long video to remember him by. As for the family cult, it remains active to this day under the
what?
leadership of his mother.
That's just crazy,
On October
dog.
4th, 2006, at approximately 6:15 a.m.,
Oh,
the Barrie
Lise.
Police Department received a chilling call from a woman saying, "My children are dead," in
Damn.
a calm and quiet voice. The disconnect between her tone and the situation she was describing was extremely unsettling. When asked what happened, she replied, "I don't know, I don't remember." Police officers immediately rushed to the address she provided and knocked on the door of her apartment, bracing for what they might find. The door opened and they were greeted by 31-year-old Frances Elaine Campione. When the officers asked her about
I
the
hate
children
looking
she
at these.
mentioned
I hate looking at these people, dog, and they dead, bro.
her call, she replied
It don't
in the
feel
same
good at
disturbingly
all.
calm voice, stating, "Yes, they're dead. They're on my bed." As the officers entered the master bedroom, he saw the remains of two little girls, 3-year-old Serena and 19-month-old Sophia, lying on the bed. Both were dressed in clean clothes and were also wearing necklaces and earrings. However, their skin was starting to turn blue, suggesting they might have been deceased for quite some time. One of the officers also noticed
You just
a
gotta,
small bruise
you just got, bro. Come on, man. You just gotta put this in our face. I'm sorry for even
Sophia's
pausing this,
forehead,
bro.
And that was it. There was nothing else in the room that could have explained their deaths. But as the investigators looked through Elaine's apartment,
Right.
they found a camcorder with footage that explained everything. The recording started on a wholesome note, showing
tell
Elaine
me this.
surprising Serena with a new bike on her 3rd birthday
Okay.
on August 8th.
Hi Serena, it's August 8th, 2006. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday Serena,
Damn.
happy birthday to you. Serena's 3 today, yay!
3 years old, bro.
Shall we go to the living room and see if you've got any birthday presents from the birthday fairies?
Yes!
Okay, let's go.
Just say birthday fairies. It just be coming over stuff. They was sleeping good as fuck in there too. No, when you got them fans, you sleeping mighty good, my guy.
What is it?
Oh man.
The next video also showed Elaine and her 2 daughters just hanging around and having fun.
I love you.
This much.
Oh, I love you more than that.
So far, everything looked quite normal. However, the 3rd recording, dated October 2nd, was when things started to get weird. The tone of the recordings instantly changed as Elaine suddenly went on and on about their horrible living conditions and the torment her ex-husband Leo and his family had put her through, said all in front of her children.
You can't see through the camera, boo-boo. Oh, yes, this is a deplorable, horrible, messy, filthy apartment that supposedly my 2 children and I live in, and it's just a horrible, horrible mess. Yeah.
I hate girls like this, bro.
I think Diego Campione is totally in the wrong, and I hope he burns in hell for all his sins. The same as Leonardo. All I wanted to do was take care of my 2 little girls and live happily ever after the 3 years of physical, emotional, and mental abuse that I endured tremendously by Leonardo Campione, and then the past year from Anna and Diego Campione, the mental and emotional abuse, which wouldn't stop, and I had CAS keep bringing these 2 people into my life over and over again when I kept telling them the amount of mental and emotional abuse it was causing my 3-year-old daughter Serena and I and Sophia. It was horrible and uncalled for, and I want justice to my family for what they have all done to us. I cried out for help. They should have.
Leo was apparently extremely abusive, both physically and mentally. He prevented her from contacting her parents and at one point even and
My
kicked her in her
fault.
stomach while she was pregnant.
What?
This resulted in Leo getting charged with domestic violence,
How do you even get pregnant by a dude like this?
and the two getting divorced. However, at the time of this recording,
Oh, they was
Leo was
married.
trying to flip things around and was engaged in a legal
Damn.
battle with Elaine over the custody of their daughters. This took an immense toll on Elaine's mental health. She was already quite unstable and had been to
Bro,
the
I don't want to hear that
for-
shit, dog. That don't give you no right to kill your damn. Hey, don't try to do this. This don't give you no right, buddy. Don't give you
faced
no
over the
right.
next couple of years.
You better
But
not say
according
she
to her
killed
brother,
them.
The custody battle caused her to lose it completely and developed severe paranoia. She became worried that Leo would one day show up and forcibly take her daughters away.
What?
Then, on October 2nd, after ending this recording at 8:39 p.m., Elaine did the unthinkable by taking the lives of her own daughters, then recording a haunting confession that investigators
Yo.
discovered on the same camera.
Recording this because Leo and I are very happy. Everything is gone. You wouldn't give peace. You wouldn't tell the truth. I begged. You even had Stacy not believing me, telling her I had to sign papers when I didn't. I went to victim witness to get the truth. Trying, begging everyone the truth. How you beat me.
She know he not gonna see this, right? She just recording this for it. First off, I don't understand that about certain people. Maybe she feel like she can't talk to nobody. You know what I'm saying? Which is understandable. She can't tell nobody what she did. But the fact that you recorded it, my God, you just wanted this to happen to you, and then you still talking about this nigga after you just killed your two daughters, my nigga. Why she couldn't just go move on? Why she got to do all this? Like,
3 years becoming close.
I get he was abusive and they was married, but like at the end of the day, it's still your choice to stay. So I don't know how it even got like this. It's just
Beat me when I was pregnant with Serena and Sophia. You didn't care about our babies. You didn't care about me. You care about yourself. You wanted to win. You won. Are you happy?
I don't understand, bro. Maybe y'all understand. I'm sorry, I don't though.
How does it make you feel? Because it doesn't make me feel great. I've lost everything my whole life.
At this point, the
Yeah,
camera
I
cut to
don't-
Elaine
hell
before
nah,
Elaine
boy.
attempted to
It's
take
crazy.
her own.
I tried to overdose.
That means the remodeling time at their Aurelia and Braintree stores. They are changing the displays. Now is the time to make a great deal on an Ontario.
So how she called the police if she killed herself? Was this after? Did she tell him that? Am I not paying attention? I'm so lost.
In Aurelia,
That was
soon to be in Huntsville. You can also check them out on the web at
buddy. You know what, buddy?
Elaine was arrested on the scene
Bruh.
and was later charged with murder, with the found footage in her home serving as crucial evidence against her.
Nigga
She was
crying.
ultimately
Dude.
sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years.
What, bro? Oh nah, bro.
Years ago, the Bureau of Land Management published a public service announcement dubbed "Stay Out and Stay
Buddy
Out,"
killed her two
educating
daughters,
viewers
dude.
about the
No.
countless dangers of exploring abandoned
That's
mines,
insane.
including the very real
Two
risk
innocent
of
girls just
cave-ins,
dead.
volatile explosives, wild animals, and
Crazy.
entire sections without oxygen. However, the most chilling part of the video was the story and the accompanying found footage of an accident that had occurred years earlier. On July 4th, 1998, a group of young men found an abandoned mine in Nevada and decided to explore it for fun. Though, surprisingly, the boys seemed acutely aware of the mistake they were making right from the start.
Yeah.
As you see Briz pointing out, stay alive. It's a good point, but we're not too smart, so we're gonna go anyway.
This is an unsafe mine. Danger.
Yet, the allure of exploring a place untouched for decades was too tempting for them to ignore.
This dude
The
is
deeper they went
so.
into the mine, the more dangerous it became, with the boys walking over sketchy wooden bridges to continue their journey. They even found signs of the mine caving in, but chose to ignore those signs just
I don't see not one black person. That's what I'm talking about. This fresh out of a movie right here. Now, as soon as somebody get blew up, gonna be looking so stupid.
venture deeper.
If you look at all this,
Just look at him.
there's lots of rocks.
Look what he
and stuff
wearing.
falling from the ceiling, which indicates
Look at his
that
haircut.
probably not a good idea to be walking this way. And,
Well, they've already fallen, so they're not gonna fall again.
well, there's more to fall.
Look, man,
An
come on,
important thing
bro.
to keep in mind is that these weren't professionals with prior
we
experience
know.
of safely exploring abandoned mines. This was just a group of boys looking to do something
Just
cool
doing
and
something.
film the adventure. They
Right.
could have easily plunged to their deaths down a 1,000-foot mine shaft or gotten lost in the miles-long maze of tunnels, which started looking more and more likely as
What the-
time went on.
Yeah, we gotta remember where we're... Okay, we got out here.
Who painted these X's in clip? Grant?
How they gonna call somebody, man?
Okay, they're all got an X on.
Do they not think like, bro, mines, like hidden mines is in here, like this was used for something, bro?
Oh, there you go.
It's still active. I don't know why they in here.
That one's got an X. But it's also got that. What is the diamond mean?
Where's that go?
Goes down.
Along there.
Man.
Ooh, that
1998, man.
Well, it'd be kind of hard if you slipped and fell. You could catch yourself before you actually fell.
Crazy.
Not a panic set in.
These old men now, if they still
Toxic
alive.
gases and radioactive elements could have also caused serious health issues down the line, if not immediately. Fortunately, they somehow managed to avoid all of these dangers and make their
What?
way fairly deep into the mine. But then they came across something that could have ended all of their lives
Exactly.
in one fell swoop.
Got them pipes. Oh, wow. We have to climb that?
Yeah, don't everybody get up. I got you. You're gonna be the lucky one to fall.
These people are trespassing, bro.
America's funniest when somebody falls.
That's a good idea. Alrighty. Oh, that...
Did social media even like exist?
While
I
crossing a
don't
sketchy
even.
section of the mine, one of the boys noticed a rope dangling down from one of the wooden beams and immediately became curious about whatever was down there.
Oh no,
Down
bro.
to the main shaft.
Wow, so we're climbing down this rope.
Yeah. How far down?
How are we getting out of it?
Climbing up it.
I see.
They had little rope
What?
climbing experience between them. However, they didn't let that stop them from accomplishing their desires. The guy named Adam decided to be the first one to descend, resulting in this.
How far down does it go?
They got blew up.
All the way down to that ladder. See where it's going down?
We're
Like a good 30 feet.
Where am I gonna hook this
I'll go
camera?
first. I am. About 200 feet. You don't like to break up.
So what are they gonna do if they die?
Put it like he's doing it in your
Like, what are they gonna do if somebody die, bro?
Yeah. It's all like this. Is it off now?
No. How am I gonna get the thing down there? Yeah, but how am I gonna get back up? I don't have.
Take that. Give you my belt. Strap on.
The rope.
Adam! Oh! Adam! Oh. Adam! Yes. Adam! Oh, God. Oh, God. Somebody help. Adam!
The rope Adam chose to trust was completely worn and gave way shortly after putting his weight on it. This caused him to plunge 65 feet down a dark mine shaft and lose consciousness.
He didn't even scream. He just fell down.
Luckily, none of the damage he took on his way down was immediately lethal. He was still breathing. His friends were able to find an exit and contact the authorities, who eventually rescued Adam after an hours-long rescue mission.
Bro.
Ultimately, them escaping the mine without any casualties was nothing short of a miracle. The mine shaft could have easily been over 100 feet deep, or Adam could have just as easily hit his head on the surrounding wall. Both of these scenarios would have resulted in his death. What's even worse is that the whole group could have gotten stranded in the shaft if the rope broke when the last person was going down. With no way to contact the outside world, the group would have likely died of starvation. Fortunately,
man.
they were able to walk away from this terrifying experience with just a few broken bones along with cuts and scratches.
Dang, broken bones. Yes, you shouldn't have went in
On
there.
the 25th of February 2022, the Perea Fuel Company hired maintenance workers to reopen one of the underwater pipes connecting their oil unloading dock and refinery. The operation team included 5 men:
Oh, my
Christopher,
gosh.
Kazim, Yusuf, Rishi, and Faisal.
What the fuck? Okay.
They were going to use a pressurized habitat to inspect the pipe and make any necessary repairs. However, shortly after entering this habitat, all 5 men disappeared from the work site, leaving those on the surface to wonder what could have happened. It wasn't until rescuers found footage from a GoPro mounted to one of the divers' suits that the full truth
they got
came to
8.
light. The footage showed the men struggling to open the valve keeping the pipe shut, prompting Kazim to go get a wrench.
They didn't. This
He
don't look
returned to the
that
habitat and
old.
handed the wrench over to his coworker.
Probably like 20,
But
20,
then a few seconds later, this happened.
15 or something. A GoPro? Nah, this ain't that old. Oh my. Yeah, he's out of there. Only thing I can think of is a shark, bro.
Opened, its low pressure created a powerful vacuum. Water rushed into the habitat.
Oh my!
Violently forced everyone into the pipe. All 5 of the men were forced into the 30-inch wide pipe, faster than they could blink.
Oh!
After tumbling through the metal pipe at
Please tell me
violent
they made
speeds
it,
for
bro.
a minute and a half, they came to a stop at a section containing a small air pocket, just enough
Yo,
to keep them alive.
no.
Allowing them a brief moment to find their bearings and assess the gravity of
Oh,
their situation.
bro. Bro, that had to be so, bro.
All of them were barely breathing, and one of them had also injured his leg. And while the air pocket was keeping them alive for the moment, it wasn't going to last very long. So, with no other option, the 2 men at the front, Christopher and Faisal, started moving forward in hopes of reaching the pipe's end and getting help for the other 3. But after making their way through several flooded sections, Faisal lost hope and refused to go any further. This left Christopher to continue alone and ultimately reach the end of the pipe, where he was eventually pulled out by rescuers.
Yo!
Unfortunately, the same did not happen for his 4 co-workers.
Dang!
And the rescue efforts were slim to none, eventually leaving the other 4 to die in that cramped metal tube. The company's CEO later defended this decision, stating that a rescue mission would have only endangered more lives. The incident sparked widespread outrage and even forced the regional government to launch an inquiry into how such a disaster was allowed to happen in the first place.
That's crazy.
But as is the case with countless similar incidents, nothing much came of it, despite the numerous hearings. The other 4 divers were left for dead.
So which one of them made
That said,
it?
the Trinidad government
I know
announced
Chris,
a
but
compensation of $1 million for each of their families, as well as Christopher in April 2025.
Damn, I know he still feel bad though. Even though he got the million, he made it out himself. I know he like, I should have told him to keep going. I know he felt, he probably still think about that to this day, if he's still alive. Damn.
On April 28, 2000, 22-year-old Russian diving instructor Yuri Lipsky decided to reach the depths of the Blue Hole in Dahab, Egypt. This was a risky plan from the get-go, since the Blue Hole is widely regarded as the deadliest diving site in the world, with as many as 200 fatalities in recent years.
How would you go here, man? Damn.
To make matters worse, before his dive, Yuri asked a local technical diver to accompany him on his journey. All of them rejected him, since the preparations for this risky of a dive took as long as a week. Yet Yuri wanted to go in just 2 days, no matter what.
What?
Even after every instructor refused to support his plan,
Doing
instead
stuff,
of backing out, Yuri made the worst mistake of his life and chose to go through with it alone. He started the dive around noon and quickly disappeared into the depths of the ocean.
So, bro, come
However,
on, man.
many hours passed, and there was no sign of Yuri anywhere. His concerned mother enlisted the help of a local technical diver named Tariq Omar, who immediately set out to rescue her son. Unfortunately, by the time he found Yuri, it was already too late.
I'm already
discovered
knowing, bro.
Yuri's lifeless body floating near the floor of the Blue Hole.
Dang.
The next day, he returned with the necessary equipment to bring Yuri's body back to the surface and got to work. But as he was about to take Yuri back, he noticed that Yuri's diving camera was lying nearby. So he grabbed that as well and began ascending. This camera had captured the final moments of Yuri in haunting detail.
Man.
The dive started like anything, with Yuri
bro.
swimming alongside many other divers. However, it wasn't long before everyone else faded from view as he started to descend deeper into the Blue Hole. And that's when all the worst possible things started happening in rapid succession. It started with him failing to keep his gas levels under check, resulting in him getting nitrogen poisoning and becoming extremely disoriented. By the time he realized his situation, he was already sinking like a rock.
It had to been so painful,
inflating his
dude.
buoyancy control device quickly to avoid sinking any further. Tragically, this backfired. The buoyancy control device bursted due to the rapidly increasing pressure, leaving Yuri no way of safely returning to the surface. The increasing depth exacerbates the symptoms of nitrogen poisoning as well, and it wasn't long before his camera captured the horrific sounds of him struggling to breathe.
I don't want to hear that,
ending
man.
with him sinking to the 377 feet or 115 meters deep sea floor and passing away.
Dang.
The only silver lining in this whole situation is that there's a good chance the found footage helped at least one diver avoid a similar fate by learning from the mistakes that cost Yuri his life.
That's bro. I don't think y'all know that gotta be so painful to drowning, dude. Oh my gosh, bro. That's definitely one of the top 5 painfulest deaths on the planet, bro.
On the 24th of April 2022 at around 3 p.m., 10-year-old Lily Peters left her home to visit her aunt on her own. The aunt's house was just a 3-minute bike ride from Lily's home in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. And since she lived with just her father, Alexander, after her parents' divorce, Lily often went to her aunt's house on the weekends to play around. So it wasn't unusual for her to make this journey on her own.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, what started off as an ordinary weekend was about to end in a horrific tragedy.
Wow.
Things took a turn for the worse when Alex noticed that it was getting dark and Lily still hadn't come home. It wasn't like her to stay out late. He called his sister, assuming Lily was still at her place. But, to his surprise, she told him Lily had already left over an hour ago.
Wow.
He then called the parents of Lily's friends, hoping she might have stopped at one of their houses on her way back. However, none of them had seen her either. Fearing for the safety of his daughter, Alex began searching the route that would have taken to and from her aunt's house. He also contacted
What is she doing, walking by herself?
His daughter missing at around 9 p.m. While the authorities didn't issue an Amber Alert, they quickly formed a search party to help look for her in the surrounding area. And after hours of searching, Alex finally discovered the first clue to his daughter's whereabouts, her bike abandoned in a nearby wooded area. But Lily herself was nowhere to be found. Police deployed drones and rescue dogs to search the woods and investigate the hiking trail that ran through the area. Then, at around 8:45 a.m., Alex received the news he had been dreading all night. Lily was deceased.
What?
A volunteer had discovered her body hidden under a pile of leaves just a few feet from the trail. After a brief
Bro, what the fuck? Oh, okay, hold on.
examination, police ruled her death a homicide and began looking for the perpetrator.
What? Who would even do this?
Nothing that could lead them in the right direction.
Bro, for
That
what
until
though?
Someone made a post about Lily's case in the True Crime subreddit. While everyone else was speculating on what could have happened to Lily, user HomesliceNation4 came forward with a crucial piece of information in a now deleted comment that read, "What's scary is I was playing Pokemon Go in the park that day and walking along that very same trail. My stomach turns when I think that I saw that girl in a pink/purple hoodie on her bike with another kid on my way out. I have a suspicion that it could be another kid that did it." Another user called the police tip line to report HomesliceNation4's comment. And to everyone's surprise, this was the breakthrough the investigators needed to solve the case.
Exactly.
Because just a few hours later...
Of course, I knew it. It couldn't have been no girl. It couldn't have been no little boy. It couldn't have been no little girl. Look at this nigga. Don't even look like her age, do it. No, nigga look like he above her, you know?
Arrested Carson Peters Berger, Lily's 14-year-old cousin, as the prime suspect in her murder. Not long after he was taken into custody, Carson admitted to everything. However, just what happened to Lily that night was more horrifying than anyone could have ever imagined. According to Carson, he followed Lily as she was heading home and told her to follow him into the woods. He'd been planning this for months. Once they were off the trail, he punched her in the stomach
what did she do?
several times with a large stick and strangled her until she took her final breath. He then went back home as if nothing had happened. But when he heard about the search for Lily, he panicked and went back into the woods to move her body further from the crime scene and hid it under a pile of leaves. Though, all thanks to one Reddit comment, he was thankfully caught.
Right.
Given the severity of his crimes and the fact that it was all premeditated, prosecutors decided to try Carson as an adult. He's still in custody, awaiting his trial set for some time in 2026.
Dang, see what I'm talking about? Look how long, that was some years ago. Bro, why would you even do that? We don't even, what made him do that? We want to know that. What made him
On
do
May
that,
1st,
bro?
2013, a Reddit user
She had to do something to him.
15 posted on the What Is This Thing subreddit, seeking answers for a strange device he found inside his power strip. The post read, "Violently blew a fuse in my extension cord, took it apart to see the damage, and found this inside." Alongside this, the OP shared pictures of 2 circuit boards connected to each other with wires,
I have
and what
no
appeared
idea
to be
what
a
that
SIM
is.
card. He also cross-posted this in the Reddit Bureau of Investigation subreddit, where users noticed a microphone on one of the circuit boards and figured this was a spying device of some kind, with one comment providing more details about how it worked, stating, "Your extension cord is a room bug. Someone calls the phone number on that SIM and the extension cord auto-answers and listens to the room." Put simply, one of the circuit boards was a cut-down version of a phone that used the SIM to transfer audio from the built-in microphone. The second board was a power delivery module, allowing the device to run directly off of the wall power without needing any batteries. However, this raised more questions than it answered, especially about the OP's true identity, with some users speculating if he was involved in some shady business. After all, why else would someone go through the effort of planting a bug to listen in on his conversations?
Exactly.
But according to a later comment, he was just a normal university student who was living in the university's dorms, and that he took this extension cord from his home when he moved. But also mentioned that there are other people with access to his room who could have planted the bug without his knowledge. With this, the focus shifted towards finding out who planted this in the OP's power strip, and
My guess is a crazy girl. Crazy woman.
why. Some users suggested putting the SIM in a spare phone, but doing so only deepened the mystery further. Apparently, it had a 10-pound credit, suggesting that it was being used at some point. However, it didn't have any contacts, voicemails, or call logs. And judging from the network messages, the device had been active since October 2012. This also helped the OP retrieve the SIM's number, but calling it returned an automated message stating, "The service is now closed, and if you have voicemail, you can turn it on." Nothing else. The OP tried leaving it active in a spare phone as well.
He got the little
but
hand
even
to
after
it,
days
man.
of waiting, he didn't receive any calls or messages. It's possible the person who planted it had already gotten the information they needed, or perhaps they found out the OP had discovered it and decided to back off. In either case, the OP's only remaining option was to contact the SIM's carrier, O2. Unfortunately, they weren't much help either. He would have needed a police warrant to access the call logs, something he didn't want to deal with. Without access to the call logs, the only real suspects OP had were his own parents. However, he didn't find the spy SIM's number in either of their phones when he checked later. This left a single possibility that's also the most likely explanation for the whole thing. Put simply, the spy device was never meant for the OP in the first place. As many on Reddit hypothesized, the bug was likely intended and used for corporate espionage at some point. From there, it somehow found its way into the OP's home. Maybe one of his parents brought it home from work or purchased it in a corporate clearance sale without realizing what it actually was. But by then, the device had already fulfilled its purpose and wasn't being used.
Yep.
Unfortunately, while Redditors were quick to identify and solve what the device was, they weren't able to find a concrete answer for who planted it and why. The last update from the OP
I can't
was
wait
in
to see
May
this
of
Reddit
2013.
that
Chances of getting an answer now, over 12 years later, are practically zero.
Oh?
On the morning of August 9, 2018, 66-year-old Susan Rainwater set out on her usual
Oh, I hate
Washington.
this guy for this, man.
But unlike the countless times she
Jeez, I hate seeing they face.
she didn't come home on time. Worried, her husband David Rainwater went out looking for her, only to come face to face with the aftermath of a tragic accident. Just off the side of the road, David discovered the mangled remains of his wife's bicycle. As he got closer, he saw an injured Susan lying on the ground not far from the bike. Sadly, it was already too late. Susan had succumbed to her injuries and passed away before David could get to her. He eventually gathered himself enough to call the police, who after examining Susan and her surroundings were able to piece together what had happened. And according to their investigation, this was a classic hit-and-run case. Susan was likely struck from behind by a fast-moving car, resulting in her getting severely injured.
And they just
However,
kept
instead
going,
of
huh?
stopping and helping Susan, the suspect decided to save himself and fled the scene.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, there were no witnesses or nearby CCTV cameras, leading investigators with no leads to follow. The only clue they found on the crime scene was this one piece of black plastic that likely broke off of the suspect's car from the collision. Investigators tried their best, but they weren't able to figure out what this was supposed to be, let alone what car it belonged to. With no other options, one of the troopers at the scene turned to the internet for help, stating, "Troopers and detectives are still looking for a black vehicle believed to be involved in this morning's tragic bicyclist fatality. If you know anything regarding this collision, please call the Washington State Patrol. While this post received little attention on Twitter, someone reposted the query on the What Is This Thing subreddit, where it went viral and received valuable input from hundreds of users. And it didn't take long for Redditors to figure out that this piece came from the car's headlight bezel, as it had the notch used to access the headlight adjusting screws.
Exactly.
However, figuring out what car this belonged to was still going to be a tall order. After all, there are dozens of manufacturers
Exactly,
with hundreds
bro.
of different models.
I'm
Not
saying.
to mention aftermarket parts, which would have been practically impossible to track down. But just when it seemed like all hope was lost, the post reached perhaps the only person capable of identifying the suspect's car model from that tiny broken piece. 2 hours after
What?
the original post was made, user Jeff's Nuts dropped a comment that single-handedly brought the search to a close. As it turned out, Jeff was a state inspector in Maryland, where his job was to make sure vehicles were up to code before issuing registration. So he'd seen his fair share of headlight bezels at work. And according to him, the piece police found belonged to a 1988 Chevy Silverado. After
Chevy,
spotting the
man.
resemblance, users forwarded the information to the investigators, prompting a search for a vehicle that matched this new description. Then, just 5 days later, the state trooper announced what everyone was waiting for. They had located the
found
vehicle that struck
it.
Susan and arrested its owner. The man responsible for her
Dang.
death was 37-year-old
He
James
looked like he
Thomas.
gonna run off too,
He
don't he?
first claimed that he had fallen asleep at the wheel and thought that he'd hit a deer instead of a person. However, his story later changed to where he knew he hit a person, but didn't get out to help because he, quote, did not want to see a body. It was clear he was just making excuses,
Yeah, bro.
since authorities also found a small bag of hard drugs in his car, suggesting he may have been under
Dang.
the influence at the time of the crash. In the end, he was sentenced to 4.5 years in prison. Not
Okay.
exactly a harsh penalty for a deadly hit
Yeah,
and
I
run,
know,
but
man.
it is better than nothing.
Yeah.
Especially considering that if the Reddit user Jeff hadn't identified the make and model of Simon's vehicle and posted his findings to Reddit, there's a good chance he would have gotten away with it.
That's
entirely.
crazy, dog. Y'all see how karma just come, like, you see how this goes around, come around like that? That's crazy, ain't it? Damn, though. He didn't get it 10 times worse. He didn't get it 10 times worse, though, like the Bible stated. I ain't gonna lie. He only 4 years and a half. Damn, that's wild, though. How the bro,
In October
what?
2024,
You can't do nothing no
someone
more. The
noticed that one of
internet.
their electrical outlets in their home looked different than
Internet,
the
you gonna
others.
get caught,
It
man.
looked like it had a camera inside, but it wasn't
Yo.
super obvious.
Y'all
So-
remember that time when they was heating up that spoon on that one video? They were heating up that spoon, that mug exploded. It would remind
They
me
turned
of
to
some
Reddit and
reason, bro.
posted photos of the outlet, hoping
I don't
someone
know
would
why.
either confirm or deny their suspicions.
Y'all probably don't know what I'm talking about. Y'all
They
ain't
also
watched the other
explained their
videos.
situation further in a comment reading, "I've had a stalker in my apartment broken into in the past. I got a camera detector for peace of mind, not knowing it would read anything, but it led me to this and detected radio waves and it reflected back with the infrared. The bottom ground looks different than the other GFCI plugs in the rest of the complex." Right away, several people
What
agreed
the-
with
what
the
is
opinion
that?
something
Is that
was
like a
definitely
ball?
off about the outlet. Then, just 40 minutes after the post went up, one user confirmed the OP 100% had a hidden camera in their home by tracking down the exact model for sale online. And according to its product page, it's a wireless camera that could transmit 4K video completely overnight.
What?
Given the OP's history with a stalker, the same person was likely behind installing the
Oh,
hidden camera as
no,
well.
man.
Many strongly suggested the OP get out of the house and call the police.
Definitely.
Unfortunately, what happened next remains a mystery. The account that made the post was a throwaway the OP created solely for this purpose, and after confirming their suspicions, they never posted any new updates.
See, they
In
got
July
saved, buddy.
2012, user Delver of Secrets Reddit account made a post in r/askreddit looking for answers on a strange encounter they recently had. It stated, "Today, a homeless-looking man handed me $50 and this note. Do any of you have any idea what it means? Dear Reddit, I work in New York City and was dragged into a very curious situation today. I was taking the 1 train from Midtown to the financial district, and as usual, the train was pretty packed. I bumped into a raggedy-dressed man as we got on, and he shot me a quick smile. I thought nothing of it until he went to get off at 14th Street, and he handed me a $50 bill along with a note. Before I could even open my mouth to ask him a question, he was gone. Below, you find pictures of both the front and back of the note. I've been looking at the note all day, and needless to say, I have no idea what it means. It's handwritten on a 3x3 square piece of paper with no identifying marks and no watermarks. There's a hand-drawn grid, and at a couple of spots the cells of the grid are combined. The note has random characters written throughout it, and the bottom quarter is filled with random shapes and numbers. Maybe I'm just reading way too far into things, and he was just another crazy New Yorker, but I figured it would be neat to see if anyone has run into this similar situation. Do any of you have any idea as to what the note says?
Somebody,
if anything?
man. Somebody smart,
Taking
man.
a good look at both the note and the $50 bill, some users figured out that the note was what's known as a bifid cipher, and deciphering it revealed a message that read, "There's plenty more money to make. Figure this out and prepare to meet July 19, 56 and 6 hot dog stand outside Rue 57 Cafe. Ask for Mr. Input." However, before anyone had the time to figure out the true meaning behind this note, Delver of Secrets received a coded message on Reddit. It was likely from the same guy that handed him the note earlier that day. When decoded, this message read, "You have managed to find the message with the help of friends. You changed the rules, now so will I. July 12, 4 p.m. Find the Blue Jay at 6.5 and 56 and tell him you are the last." This was packed with clues pointing in multiple directions.
What?
For starters, 6.5 and 56 corresponded to 6.5 Avenue on 56th Street in New York. And at that location, there was a salon named Gotham Skincare. This led many to believe that this whole thing was a marketing stunt for something related to Batman, especially since the date given in the original note, July 19th, was one day short of the release date for The Dark Knight Rises. One person even called the marketing company for that movie in hopes of getting them to admit the truth.
So basically, I was one of the people who got caught up in the whole homeless man give me $50. We had to figure out some sort of code. So after staying up for hours and reading all the comments, I definitely came to the conclusion that this reeks of marketing campaign. And I have a sneaking suspicion that it's a certain company. Hey guys, what's up? Alright, so it's 9:16 here in New York, and I'm about to call Leveraged Marketing Corporation of America. If you look up the address that we're all supposed to meet at later today at 4, this is actually a marketing agency that's right next to it, so it just makes sense that it might be them. And the Dark Knight thing just makes sense too, because the movie's coming out so soon. And hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
I'm calling to make sure that everything is going to be set up for the Dark Knight campaign later today.
What is the Dark Knight campaign? Is it in New York City?
Yeah, it's actually right next to your office, at about 4 o'clock today, actually.
I see, yes, I know what that is. Please give Margie a call. I'm traveling.
He just admitted to knowing about it. I don't know, you figure it out.
While this didn't lead
I'm
to
lost.
anything substantial, Reddit users found the next clue hidden within the Reddit message. You see, the username that sent the message was 222094437.
Anonymous every
One
time.
user converted this to an IP address, and it led to Fort Huachuca in Arizona, a military base that's primarily focused on intelligence training. So, could it be that Delver of Secrets was being recruited as a spy or something along those lines? For some, this was certainly a possibility. However, another user discovered that a spy exhibition was happening at the nearby Discovery Times Square Museum on July 12th. Maybe this was a marketing stunt for that instead. But this idea was also shot down by another user who claimed to work for the museum, stating that they had nothing to do with this. With no other leads, a group of curious New York-based Redditors decided to meet at the specified location on July 12th to see if anything would actually happen. However, despite dozens of people showing up, including Delver of Secrets, no one noticed anything out of the ordinary and had to go back in disappointment. Now, if this was some legitimate espionage-related matter, a large crowd would have instantly scared off anyone planning to meet Delver of Secrets at that location. So, the whole thing was kind of pointless in that regard.
Okay.
But on the other hand, the gathering all but confirmed that this wasn't some marketing stunt.
Exactly.
Because if it were, the media attention and large crowd would have been the perfect moment for a big reveal that
Right.
never happened. Then, something happened that no one saw coming. On July 13th, Delver of Secrets removed everything from his post and replaced it with a single ominous passage reading, "Received a phone call today threatening violence against me and my family, going as far as to name members of my family and their addresses unless I delete this post. The caller also told me not to show up on the 19th and to inform anyone planning to show up on the 19th that nothing would happen. This will be my last message from this account before I delete it. I'll also be changing my number later today. I'm sorry if a resolution to this never happens, but I'm not willing to risk my family's safety for a few extra dollars." With that, Delver of Secrets vanished from the internet. While Reddit did solve layers of coded messages and uncover clues hidden within other clues, they were ultimately left with nothing but speculation and an unsolved mystery.
Dang, man, what is that, dog? It's crazy. I'm sorry, I had to put my hands in my shirt, gang. It's so cold up in here, man. But this stuff crazy, man. Like, all this shit is crazy to me. Like, cases and cases and cases. A lot of these didn't get solved, but you know, it's still, you know, it's still interesting and stuff like that. Like, man, it's a good video, bro. Y'all like this video, like, subscribe, man. Y'all made it all the way to the end. Till I see y'all again. That's Thrifty logging out, man.